3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Salutations, y'all, and welcome to episode 8, or is it 7, of Design Therapy. That's an Easter egg.
One of those two. We'll figure it out.
So, what is design therapy? Design therapy is about leadership through design. It's to empower the next generation of creative thinkers and builders to redesign the world. So, we welcome you. Bienvenidos, ni hao, bonjour, buani, hola, peleo. We are a community that's global. We're all over the world, and that's exciting. And I'm really honored to be here. So, who are we? We're your facilitators for today's session. I'm your host, Keone Chong. I've got my co-creators with us today. We've got Mary Gribbin and the wonderful Jose Caballer. So, as always, this is brought to you by Core Discovery, which is Brand Strategy Foundations for Innovation. We always ask you to like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you this wonderful content because we're really here for you. This is about you. And we're excited for the potentiality of the future and this new age of creative cultural innovators. So let's talk today a little bit about our agenda. So what we'll do is we have our drop-in like we do every session. We love starting out with a drop-in, and that's just our way of checking in with you and really starting the conversation as a community. We'll just dive into the download after that, which is all about the mindset that we really want for you guys to have as we step into today's session. We'll talk a little bit about the theme of transformation, which has been our theme for this week. And then we'll talk about building our purpose statement and the power of a purpose statement. I'm going to model the exercise with the wonderful Roxana, who we've got in the studio with us today, so to speak. And then we'll move into our breakout. And breakout is where you'll be able to connect with other members of the community and follow up on the exercise. We'll dive into the upload, which will be about, what kind of valuable insights were you guys able to take away from today's session. And then we end it with music and no cookies, or cookies if you've got them. But that's sort of our chill session where we kind of hang out and we connect and we talk about all manner of ideas, whether it relates to today's conversation and today's theme or otherwise. So without further ado, let's drop in. So we talked about discovery last week, and you know what? I'm going to change that. And we're going to talk about transformation. And so what I want to say is, what is transformation for you? And I'll model that. So my name is Keone, and I am in Los Angeles. And what does transformation mean to me? Transformation is about evolution and growth. It's about being able to take the things that have brought you to where you are now and about moving to another place using a whole nother set of values and inputs and experiences and understandings in the world. Transformation to me has always been about a intentional change. And it's really about growth. But that's what transformation means to me. Let's open up the floor. We'll invite a few of you guys up to the stage so you guys can kind of dive in and share your thoughts. And I'd love to start with Jose and Mary, and then we'll ask some folks in the audience. Oh, you're muted.
I love it. I will cede my spot to the honorable gentleman, Pape, in Panama, on what transformation means to him. Because life is a trip, for sure.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Pape, reporting from Panama. And for me, transformation is about discovering yourself and walking your path. I believe that as we've been talking about like the hero's journey, it's the transformation is just walking around this cycle and discovering all the new lessons and all the new stuff that you learn about yourself and that you discover through a conversation and all of this. We're constantly changing, and I believe that transformation is just about living your life authentically, and the sum of the addition of all of this experience is what transform you into the person that you are today. So I believe that is transformation.
Thank you so much for that, Pape. Mary, would you like to?
Sure, I'll share. Thanks, Keone. Well, last night we were talking about it a little bit, right? We found that amazing Marianne Williamson quote. Who found that? Jose? You? I don't know. Somebody. But that really, like, is it in here in this deck? Did you put it in here?
Yeah, we're gonna actually dive in. We're gonna start off this session. Yeah.
Yeah. What does it mean to you, Mary? To you?
Yeah.
To you?
I know.
First.
I'm going to say that. That's why that quote resonated, is because ultimately, like, it's your own personal transformation has, like, the impact that it has on the world around us is what is, for me, like, the most meaningful part of personal transformation. And I'm going to just talk for a sec about my experience at Burning Man, which was, and the theme the year that my first burn was metamorphosis. And so that's for me, like, the metaphor, right, of transformation. It's like going through some metamorphosis, some incredible change. There's some catalyst there that takes you from, like, the little tiny grain, or the tiny, what is it, the caterpillar, to the gorgeous butterfly. And you could really be true, show all your colors, be yourself, completely, like, shine and resonate and connect with the world around you, because you're really, like, living in your true self and your true power. And you've gone through some personal growth that's transformed you to who you really are. So that's what it means. That's what it means to me. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love that the journey, Burning Man, it always manages to find its way into our conversations, huh? Love that. Dexter, you're up next, brother.
What's up, everybody? But to me, transformation is bridging the gap between your current self and the best version of yourself that is in complete alignment physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Confronting all of those, traumas and, those things that can get in the way of that, and navigating that path to, if I made all the best decisions that I could and followed in my purpose, this is the version of myself that would exist. And that is transformation to me.
I'm gonna just let that sit for a minute, because I love that. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
For sure.
And I'd like for you to share, name and location, brother. I mean, I know you, but for our audience members, where are you coming from? Where are you hailing from?
Dex, right now I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Went to school here, but from South Carolina. Shout out to Pape. My mom's from Colón, Panama. So.
Oh, que bueno! Look at that. I can dig it, man.
But yeah,
that's what's up, man. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to open up the floor. We'll have Joe and or drop in, but if anyone else would like to come on, I know Christina, you had shared in the chat. Do you mind sharing on stage?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Christina. I'm from Ontario, Canada. Transformation to me means an awakening happening within you and just embracing it.
Dig that. Thank you for sharing, Christina.
You're welcome, Keone.
Yeah. Would anybody else like to share? Okay. Well then, Joe, do you mind, ending our drop in and sharing your thoughts?
I think it's been covered in such beautiful words. I resonated so deeply with I think so crystallized by what Dexter said. I love that. It resonated. And for me, I think that encapsulates what Mary pointed to. The metamorphosis is that labyrinth that we go through to get to the essence of ourselves, and overcoming everything, all the obstacles along the way, to overcome ourselves, to transform into our true self.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Joe. And the thing that I really want to emphasize, and I try to emphasize this a little bit in every session, is these Friday sessions are really about personal leadership, personal development, and being able to do so through design. We weave a lot of the skills and the powers of, being a powerful creative and being able to lead through design in the philosophies that we talk about every Friday. And so, all of the things that we're discussing, really are supposed to resonate with us on a personal level, on an individual level. And in leadership, these are the things that we want to start identifying in the people around us and the projects that we lead. So, with that in mind, let's dive into our download for today. And Mary selected this. Mary, would you like to talk a little bit about the download today?
Should I just read it, or? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, read it first, and then like your thoughts on it.
Yeah, personal transformation can and does have global effects. As we go, so goes the world, or the world is us. The revolution that will save the world is ultimately a personal one. And that's Marianne Williamson. Huge fan of her. So, yeah, I mean, it's through your own, for me, what this means is like my own personal transformation is a catalyst for the change in the systems of how we work, how we relate to each other, just being loved, and empathizing and being connected. And we're all here, we're all connected, and without a personal transformation, it's so hard to get there. So I feel like, by doing the work, you're able to manifest the change you want to see in the world just by doing it for yourself first. Like, you have to start with yourself. It's like kind of like self-love or something. Yeah, it's deeply personal. So I think that's what I want to say about that piece. I would love to hear what others think.
I think there's an idea of how it's related for me, how it's related to if I share my knowledge with one person and that person shares it with another person and that person shares it with another person at the knowledge level, just knowing, then really things spread. But the being level, like who we need to be in order to help transform the world, we call it redesign, right? A rebrand is ultimately a transformation of a company. My favorite show, Queer Eye, goes in and transforms somebody's life, not just their surface, not just their house, not just their fashion, not just their cooking, but also the actual environment. It's so funny. Keone and I were working yesterday, and we were watching this new anime on Netflix, and it was a guy in the kitchen who was also Yakuza. I don't know what was going on, but it was awesome. Every time somebody ate something, their experience would just be like soup or like mind-blowing, and then they would change and they would be like in a different mood and a different attitude. So food, design, furniture, all the things that we have purview as cultural creatives in the world are transformative vehicles, either of mood, of thinking, of many different things. And my wish and my desire and my intention and my request is that we all each here who come every Friday and who come once in a while can start seeing the possibility that we actually can be more than just, oh, I'm a designer and I design logos, but I am somebody who helps transform the people that I touch, every person that I work with. And once you go from I design logos to I help transform your life, we're like a global squad of Queer Eye people. We can go do transformations all over the place. Yeah, Patricia's like, yay! You know, whether it's their food, whether it's their logo, whether it's their brand, whether it's their retail experience, whether it's their web experience, e-commerce, DTC, all of the things that we know, and you know, all the material realm kind of execution that we all are super well versed for. With that's really my hope and my desire. So thank you. I am done, complete.
Thank you for that, Jose. You know, this quote, what came to mind for me was, and I can't remember who told me this, but it basically goes along the line that everything that we see in the world was basically someone's idea at one point. Every single thing that we experience, you know, the houses, the cars, the food, you know, the language that we're speaking, all of the things that we use to define ourselves started in somebody's head, somebody somewhere, at some point in the past. And they took it upon themselves to bring it into the manifestation, right? We talk about the power of creative, you know, Motto knows this phrase, manos de Dios, right? Hands of God. All of the things that we see in the world that are of significance, we can create ourselves. And so for us to get to that point, we have to start with ourselves, right? That's where the challenge is. So, you know, I hope this resonates with you guys. This theme of transformation has been a really powerful one for us this week. You know, Jose and I, we've been channeling, it seems like everything that we've been watching or doing or hanging out with, like everything has sort of been around this theme of transformation, and it's powerful. And I'm hoping that it's resonating with you guys out there. So let's dive into today's sermon. And today we're going to be talking about purpose statements. And, you know, purpose statements are about understanding our power and our responsibility to that power. And so, you know, we're all familiar with Spider-Man and, you know, his uncle who gave him that powerful statement that we all can recognize or, you know, reframe and see in one way or another. And that's with great power comes great responsibility. So how does that affect us in today's chat? So here are today's goals. What I'd like for us to understand is how to identify themes, how to identify superpowers, and how to identify vision, right? So based on the work that we've been doing, you know, over the past few weeks, we've been talking about our origin story and how our origin story really is the foundation for us to understand our superpower and really identify our vision. And so we're going to model that today based on my experience with facilitating that with Roxana. But what I really want for you guys to also understand is that in this process, we're also developing the skills for leadership. The big challenge for today is going to be about being able to listen and translate, to hear meaning, to respond in kind, and to be able to dive deeper. So I'm going to reiterate, you know, a couple of things that we discussed last week. And Joe, you know, I'd love if you can kind of reinforce these things. But the 3 levels of listening. And I'd love to open up the floor to Joe because he's the one that really introduced this concept to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we had talked a little bit last week, is hearing, and we could all relate to this intuitively, but the first level listening is when we are 100% in our own mind, in our own head. We are listening to the chatter in our mind. How do I feel about this? Oh, what do I think about this? Oh, it's cold, it's hot. Oh, what am I going to order at the restaurant, et cetera, et cetera. So that's level 1, is completely, literally everything that is happening in your world. Level 2 listening is when we are listening to that, in this case, other, whether it's a person that we're listening to or a client, and we're completely leaned into them. I mean, completely, like looking at every little detail, reading between the lines, what is being said, what are the emotions that show up, everything that is right in front of us. And that takes we know it a lot as active listening, completely immersed into that person, into that business person in front of us. And then level 3 is when we're looking at it from a kind of a meta, an observer's eye, and we bring ourselves back into the equation. And this one is tricky because it's a soft focus on ourselves and principally the individual in front of us, and it's the ability to now take our own intuition, our own feelings, our own emotions. And this is like, I love how Keone put it, empathic understanding, but it's basically bringing into the equation the reactions that we have and the intuitions and the feelings and the sensations that show up in us, using them as signals and considering them as part of the equation of what is being listened to. So someone says something, and if you get some inkling of, oh, that was off, or that was interesting, or that was, I felt a little excitement, I got chills, whatever came up for you is part of what you're listening to. And that is equally valuable information, which you then reflect back into the space, into the container, and see what comes up. Maybe the signal that you got, you interpreted wrong, but you still picked up something. And that's what level 3 listening, and that's where you're never going to stay in level 3, like purely level 3. You'll oscillate between level 2 and 3 when you're doing really deep listening. But it's that ability, and sometimes we'll even go back, because we're human, we'll go back to level 1. So there's a self-management to be, that is required for us to recognize, oh, I went to level 1. Oh, I'm thinking, what am I going to ask next? Like if we're in a conversation, we do this all the time. Oh, what am I going to ask after that? Or I want to say this, I want to say this, I want to say this, and we're not even listening. So we got to catch ourselves, come back to level 2 and level 3 ideally, and stay there. And that is what allows us to have a very deep level of listening, where we're diving deeper into what's there in the space, not just our thoughts about it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Joe. And this is super important. I practice this constantly, like with Jose, because what's really interesting in a lot of the conversations that we have with Jose, and even with you, Joe, there's so many, like every single time a new concept will come into like the conversation, your mind will want to take you to like, oh, let's explore that concept. And oh, all of a sudden you have maybe experiences that you think about, and you're like, oh, I remember this time where I did this thing. I'd love to share it. Or, oh, this is really interesting. This connects this other thing, and I'd love to share it. That happens, and it happens to me constantly. I'm sure it happens to a lot of you as well. And if you're a polymathic thinker, which a lot of creatives tend to be, right? You get pulled in all of these different directions. But I always have to recenter myself back into the center of the conversation and allow for that conversation to naturally flow. And the only time that I find myself, or I try to put bumpers around myself where I'm adding conversation, is to allow for the concept to dive deeper, to understand at a deeper sense the point of view of the person that is sharing that story with me, right? I'll model that a little bit in the conversation that I have, or in the exercise that we model with Roxana. And it takes time, guys, and it's a skill. But a lot of you, and a lot of feedback that I've had from a lot of core practitioners, or, like they may see me facilitate, or they see Jose facilitate. And the challenge is like, well, how do you get to that level of facilitation? And it's really about the ability to have that deep thinking, right? To start with the practice of active listening, understanding that's really just level 2, but there's another level that we need to get to, and the practice of diving into that deeper level. So what we'll do is, in the next slide, we're going to recap on, just a reminder on how to active listen. And we'll talk a little bit about translation, and then validating insights, building the purpose statement. We're going to model that for you guys, and then we'll do our breakouts. So let's dive in and let's talk a little bit on how to active listen. First things first is pay attention and use your curiosity. Are you paying attention was a phrase you know, that my father would always listen to me. Key, are you paying attention? And I'd be like, yes, Pop, I'm totally paying attention. He goes, you haven't paid me a single ting yet, right? It's an action. You know, paying attention isn't something that happens passively. It's a thing that you have to actively engage in. And it's literally like paying, right? It's like the currency. You're forcing yourself and you're forcing your curiosity to dive into a very specific thing. It's a practice of focus, right? And then the next step is to listen with our body. So again, right? Active listening isn't this passive thing where you're just sitting and you're just using your ears. No, you're listening with your body. You're using eye contact. You're leaning in. It's the okay. We know that. We know that when we get into these deep conversations, there's a yes. Pape has a great ad. Smile. Totally. Yes, I get it. I understand what you're going through. I understand the situation that you're explaining. Next is
Even on Zoom, by the way, Keone, sorry, I interrupted you there. Even on Zoom, you know, this morning we had a call, Keone and I, with someone really looking at the camera and like leaning in and like just feeling it. It's really important. This is hard to do on Zoom. You can be going over here and going over here. Anyway, continue, please, sir.
Yeah, and you know, and to that point, in film, so I've done a lot of television, I've done a lot of live broadcasts, and in film, what they tell you to do is to overemphasize your body movements. When you're in front of the camera, they're like, really lean in. And the reason that they do that is because it's the same challenge that we have. We're all looking at each other and you guys are like little squares on the screen. So it's very easy for us to fall into this passivity, you know, to sort of step away and be like, We really have to overemphasize the social cues of understanding and diving in. It's super important. And you'll start see a difference in the quality of responses that you get when you really start overemphasizing these things. The third step that I wanted to bring about is clarifying understanding. So that's asking open questions and paraphrasing. Jose does this really wonderful. Mary has this wonderful way of asking like really powerful open questions. And it's really about clarifying the understanding and the meaning for who we're trying to understand. The next step is to address your biases. We're all biased, and that's okay. Own it, understand it, know that it's a limitation to your understanding, and focus on continually overcoming it, right? If you're a male, understand that there's a lot of mannerisms and behaviors that come with the masculine imperative. And so dealing with a woman, you're dealing with someone that identifies as a woman or a female, you need to be conscious of that. And that means maybe trying to tone down your energy. It means that you probably need to open up a lot more space for her to feel actively engaged and for her to feel comfortable, right? These are the biases that we have to constantly address. And lastly,
and also connecting with the heart instead of connecting intellectually. And as a man, if you can actually do that with other men, that's also a really huge, you know, kind of ability. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And thank you for that, Jose. That was powerful. And then, you know, the last step is really it's the response, right? And the response can be as we go like, or the go ons, but they can also be pause, right? Giving the other person space to really reflect, you know, maybe you ask them a challenging question and they may have to repeat an answer a few times for them to really feel comfortable in saying it or to find the true meaning of what they're trying to say. But response is absolutely necessary. So, how are we doing so far? Everyone good? Excellent. So we're going to talk today a little bit about the principles for today's exercise. So the first is of translation. So what we're going to do is we're going to share our stories, and we're not going to do it in today's session. What we're going to do is we're going to break out and we're going to spend some time to connect so that you guys can set up a follow-up at some point in the next week before next week's session. But when we share our stories, the key is to be able to mine for themes. And that's my little Dogecoin reference. I love Shiba Inus. They're so cute. Next, we're going to identify insights by reviewing the themes. So the elements that you get out of the story, I would love for you guys to start asking, like, well, I noticed this, I noticed that, you know, like, was this significant, right? This is all about the clarification aspect. Next, we're going to build our purpose statements. So you're going to insert the insights into the purpose statement so that you can create this statement that you really feel ownership around. Next is to massage it. We're going to need to rewrite the statement. What first comes out is just an anchor point, but we need to evolve it. We need to massage it. We need to make sure that it feels right. Try different adjectives, try different verbs, try different nouns. But this is the process of really articulating it and identifying it so that it feels right for yourself. And then we're going to try it on for size. So the goal is then to take that story and to share it with your community, to share it with your friends, share it with your parents, share it with your clients. You know, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is the way that I see the future. You know, I just want to let you know that we're in the process of developing my brand, and this is what is driving me, right? You'll start to get feedback, and in that feedback, they can say, great, well, this is why I worked with you from the get-go. Or your friends will say, hey, this is why I love you, man, or woman. This is why I love you, girl, right? We want to try to make sure that this is something that we put on, that we feel comfortable saying, because the truth is, once you start signaling your purpose, then the people, the correct co-creators, the correct kinds of clients, they're going to start to acknowledge that, and they're going to be interested in you. And that is how we can really start to build our brand. So sharing your purpose, right? That's the real goal that I want for you guys to get comfortable in doing. And we're going to do that. And I'm going to model that a little bit for you. So Roxana, would you like to come to the stage?
Hey.
Hey, Roxana. Glad to see you again. How are you?
Really good. I was feeling a little bit down today, but these sessions are like the perfect solution for everything.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I'm really glad to be able to, you know, shift the energy a little bit in what you've been going through. So what I would like to do is I would like to recap our story based on the notes. 2 weeks ago, we did the sharing the story exercise, and you shared some really powerful experiences with me. And what I'd like to do is start by recapping those experiences and, you know, just feeling, you know, if we're in the right place, if anything has changed, or evolved since then. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say it out loud. Like normally I would be writing it down. And for those of you guys that are practicing this, what's key is I have shared a Google Doc, and I'll share a new one. But really what I'd like for you guys to do is print it out or have a sheet of paper and use pen and paper. It's really difficult to be able to do this with, you know, like a digital document, because I really want for you guys to focus on the screen as a representation of, you know, your partner in this exercise. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paraphrase this story for Roxana. She's going to confirm. And during that process, I'm going to be writing down ideas, words, phrases, and feelings.
Is there a slide or somewhere with Roxana's hero's journey?
I do. I have it. It's actually right here.
Oh, beautiful.
So here are some notes that I have from our conversation. And I want to be key, guys. Do you guys see how messy this is? It's not about perfection. It's about understanding. So these are the notes that I took for each chapter, and we're going to go through it. So
Great.
let's model this. Are you ready, Roxana?
Ready.
Okay. So in the first chapter of the story that you shared with me, we anchored into feelings, and you shared this experience that you had where you first felt confusion and, you know, just strangeness, differentness, you know, weird comfort. And for you, it was in kindergarten.
Mhm.
So what I remember of the story and the notes that I took is that you didn't really understand the language, and you remember traveling on a train, watching over a bridge, and there was something that you didn't understand about the people around you. You didn't really think that it was different, but you knew that you were alone and that you were comfortable being alone. You knew that you spoke a different language, but you were in a place where that language wasn't familiar. Is that all correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to add anything to that?
Not really. I don't think so.
Okay.
Being misunderstood, not feeling seen. It's the theme I'm getting here. Confusion, or it's really like about being seen. I'm not seen because I can't be understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So, and guys, I want for you guys to hear like what I'm identifying in the conversation is like feelings, themes. The bridge, for example, was something that really stood to me. The language barriers, for example, were something that really stood out for me. And then in the second chapter, you know, you started to feel like groups, like you started to like really identify that there were like groups of people and groups of friends that would hang out together, and some of them, many of them, you connected, but there wasn't anything like on a deeper level that allowed for you guys to really connect. Like you hung in the groups, but the connection wasn't there. And you were really in this place where you were looking to create new friends. And, you know, like you tried different styles of fashion, you know, like for you, there is this path of like exploring identity.
Yeah.
With, you know, different style of fashions, you know, different bodily expression, tattoos or piercings. But something that really came out of this period as well was you started to create like handmade art.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that's mainly of what this is.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. I love it.
Yeah, this I made like being an adult, but this came from with the first years I started. Like, well, like, yeah, like I said, I spent most summer alone, but with art surrounding me.
I love that. Bjorn calls it the rave pillow.
Yeah, I have a weirdest one here too, but yeah, I think people will recognize this. But if you have
that's
watched
awesome.
The Simpsons.
Okay. The Simpsons, yeah, the
Yeah.
fish. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So let's move on to the next chapter. So the next chapter, you detail this experience of like traveling to Brazil by yourself, with no cell phones, and like you were kind of young. I think you were what, 15 or 16 at the time?
16 or 17, something like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to leave the country without my parents' permission. So yeah, a little bit crazy thinking it now.
Which is awesome, you know, and that, you know, I'm starting to feel like a theme of adventure, right? Like being alone and like looking for connection, but not being afraid to step out into the world with your identity, right? And so you did this with no cell phones, and you did it to explore really connecting with family, right?
Yes.
and connecting with people. But you also have another experience later on in your life where you did something similar, where you traveled to Spain to be with your husband, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, always traveling.
Yeah. You know, and so I'm hearing this theme of diving in and out of portals of culture.
Yes. Yes, and I like I said to you, I have also a mix of different nationalities in my family. So
Mhm.
we're, yeah,
The multicultural aspect.
yes.
And really, to me, that reflects also this theme of like inclusion, you know, where no matter where you're from, there's no such thing as other, right? We're family, we're friends, we're connected.
We're humans.
Yes.
That's it. So
Beautiful. So then we go to the fourth chapter, and this is, you know, you talked about, this is really about growth and exploring like self-development, and new skills and new opportunities. You talked about when you moved to Spain, you studied tourism.
no, that was before, but it wasn't in Argentina before I moved to Spain. But yeah, it didn't matter because when I got to Spain, I had to work in something else. So
So yeah, so when you went to Spain, you really started diving into, was it the digital marketing program?
sort of. I mean, I took whatever job I could in that time, but yeah, after a few years, I felt like my brain was shutting down because I started to get like a little bit depressed. So yeah, I started to search for something that make me go alive again in a way. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so maybe studying something or yeah.
And it was in this space. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's when it all started in a way. So yeah.
Got it. So in this space, this is where you discovered Jose and Chris on YouTube, right?
Yes, that was 2017, I think, or late 16 or yeah, the
Early
first of 17. Yes, when YouTube finally showed me that that video, and that was all the light I needed.
And that was really about the inspiration and opportunity, right?
Yes, absolutely.
For design. So moving on, let's move to chapter 5, okay? And chapter 5 is where you had, you know, like you said, it was like your first like sort of big project.
Yes.
And you had a friend that had the confidence in you to really execute that project, right?
Yeah, because he said so. I mean, he didn't see until that point anything I've ever done, but yeah, he was confident. I mean, he said that he felt like I had passion. So yeah, that's why he gave me like this project.
Your passion, I think that's really important. And you know, the project, you know, from what my notes are, is about you know, it was a skincare product, and you did the logo, the labels, and the website, right?
Yeah, well, the website, like I said, it wasn't used, but yes, the other stuff they were.
Got it. How did you feel about those projects when you first did them?
It was a huge project to be starting with, but yeah, it was really fun, and also like starting to work remotely. So that was a huge step for me too, because yeah, in different time zones, because I live in Spain and my friend lives in the US. So yeah, it was a huge challenge, but really fun.
Yeah.
And a few months of work.
Beautiful. And I'm just gonna just answer this question to Marcio. Marcio, this model that we're doing, we're just going through the 12 chapters of the origin story. Yeah. So let's move on to chapter 6, right? And so you talked about, you know, kind of developing additional work after that project.
Yes.
But you said that it didn't go too well. A lot of challenges managing developers, right?
Yes, I mean, I started to feel that I wanted to get into web design, but yeah, like learning code was a little bit hard, and I didn't quite enjoy it. So yeah, it wasn't. I also I tried to start an Etsy shop, and also I don't know, some other things, but
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling them.
Got it. Nice. Thank you for sharing that so far. Okay, so let's just finish these last 12 chapters, and then I'm going to talk about some of the notes, because I'm taking notes, guys, here with a pad. So I'll share, you know, some of the notes. So in the notes that I'm taking, I'm looking at ideas, I'm looking at themes, I'm looking at feelings, I'm looking at concepts, and I'll show how we translate them into our purpose statement. So let's start with number 7. And this is like that light bulb moment for you, Roxana, where you said that you remembered this video and seeing designs for Webflow. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, was when I was watching The Future, and then they introduced Ran Seagal, and that's how I find out about Webflow and all the possibilities that gave me. So yeah, that was like a big moment.
Beautiful. And tell me about learning it, right? So that whole process.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was like a little bit like challenging, because yeah, you really need to understand web design. It's not just like moving things around. So that was the big challenge. But yeah, but I mean, I stuck with it, and then everything become a little bit clearer with time.
Yeah. And you also mentioned something that I think some maybe of our older members of our audience can resonate with. You talked about, you know, you had a feeling like perhaps you're a little bit too old to get into design.
For sure. Yeah. Because I got into this like after being 30. Now I'm 37. So yeah, it's like everybody around me in courses and events and things like that are really young. So yeah, that's how I always felt that I was a little bit older.
Yeah. So moving on to the next chapter in the story that you shared, you talked about how you started to feel confidence. You had a friend that said that, you know, you had grown so much, and discovering that you didn't really realize that. And then, you know, your ability to have, you know, support and be able to help people in meetups. And then, you know, your exploration and missing them or meeting them in London. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was like a roller coaster, because like in 2019, I think 2018 maybe, yeah, I started to watch like almost everything about the future, and everything I could about strategy and web design and like everything. And then I tried to go to well, I I wanted to go to meet Jose and Chris, but I couldn't do it. So I tried the next year just with Chris in this case. So I traveled to London to meet him. And there I meet some friends, and those friends are still friends, and we have been doing some jobs together. So yeah, super grateful of every moment that came after that.
Yeah, it seems like that was a big moment for validation in a way,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Mm, wonderful. And then let's talk about chapter 10, where you talked about needing to keep learning and design being so big and amazing. There's something that you said that I loved is about every 3 months there's sort of this shift and there's an update, and what worked 3 months ago didn't work now.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that when you are at the beginning, you think you will reach a point and said, okay, now I'm an expert and I don't need to learn anything more. But more and more you learn, more and more you know that you don't know almost anything, and there is a whole world to explore in design or in any other subject you are interested. And how many things that doesn't seem to be related are connected. So our experiences also help us in that sense.
Yeah, the connection, and that this is a journey. There's no real destination in the process of creativity, right?
Yes.
Love that. And something else that I recognized from my notes that you had really discussed was how you looked at Webflow as this really powerful tool because it's bringing the two worlds of design and development together. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yes, I mean, because when I finally found that, I mean, it's a tool. I know it's just a tool maybe, but that gave me the confidence to not having to rely maybe on a developer, and having my own control in a way to make the design and also make the development. And what I find out about after I find out about Webflow is the amazing community that is around Webflow, and how designers and developers are starting to work together because of a tool like that. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then you also mentioned around this time too, you started getting into design sprints as well, right?
Yes, last year I got into design sprints, and yeah, and I keep learning every day something new, and I keep iterating and trying to mix things, and trying to, in every project, try a new thing or a new way or a new framework or something to improve and make like processes more efficient or more fun. And yeah.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. I really love that. So let's move into chapter 11, and let's talk a little bit about your experience, meeting Alex and
Yes.
alongside him.
Yes, I mean, that was like the big moment, because I was last year, I know it's been hard for everybody, and it's been hard especially for people that lost like family, and that's really sad. But at the same time, I feel like we have grown so much because we've had the opportunity to connect with so many people. All the meetups I had the opportunity to be in, and to start conversations with people online, and maybe it was forced at first, but yeah, that developed in really strong relationship with some people. One of them is Alex. We started to talk like 1 year almost ago. And yeah, having fun conversation. He helped me even with the name of my podcast and things like that. And he was helping me, in with his content, of course. So then I finally invite him to my podcast. He said yes, and that's how in a way we create a little bit more close relationship maybe. And it finally came with this project that I didn't know about, that he was searching for somebody to make his website, so here I am.
You know, the thing that I really love about that story is it really reflects alignment. You know, like the alignment within your values, your alignment with, you know, your clients and your co-creators, because it feels like the way that you describe that relationship, it's less about like you providing a website for someone, and it's closer to like you working alongside a friend and you guys creating something together.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, because at this point we're talking every day. We're bouncing ideas. It's not just about the website. We talk every single day. So yeah, it's more like, for me, it's like more even like a friendship, that just a collaboration.
Wonderful. And then of course, you know, we've got the last chapter, you know, and we'll share this openly with you guys. So Roxana is coming on board to join our team to help us build out our website for the system and to really help us start managing all of our digital work. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Well, we still have to have our kickoff meeting, and we still have to figure all the logistics out. Not to scare her. Let's not scare the natives.
Yes.
But we're really honored to have you being part of it. So go ahead.
Yeah.
So some people were in that call. I think like 10 days ago. I was almost in tears because I couldn't believe how planets align in a way. How the energy is surrounding all of us is like finding the people I want to be with, finding tribe, and I don't want to talk more about that because I get emotional, so I don't want. But
and so
that's the thing.
A Brazilian musician wrote a song about me, and it's he's gonna cry, he's gonna cry, he's gonna cry, because I cry at every concert, I cry at everything, like I just cry.
Yeah, we were watching that show last night on Netflix, and I turned around and like Jose.
Oh my God, that was so good! It was the chef's table, the story about an immigrant chef in Philadelphia. It was beautiful. Wow.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I turned around. I was like, "Oh, he's gonna cry. He's gonna cry."
We should have it on a thing. But Roxana, what are you looking forward to, and what do you want to get out of it? Like, let's, aside from the logistics and from us, like looking at what, you know, at all the things, cost, etc. If you could ask for one thing out of the collaboration, what would that be?
I mean, I couldn't ask anything because I am already so thrilled to be part of this. So because I know that everything is like a learning experience for me. I can learn so much that I have already learned from you guys. So I couldn't ask for anything else. It's, for me, it's like a huge opportunity just to be surrounded with amazing people. So
I'll rephrase the question. In what style would you like the collaboration to happen?
I mean, I'm comfortable with what everything you want to suggest. I am happy with. Yeah.
Well, here we won't belabor the point here. We'll have that conversation, and we'll share. You know, a lot of the the open development calls that we have, we share, and we're putting a circle, an accelerator program, just so you guys can see that. But yeah, you know, we won't hold you to the fire anymore, Roxana. But thank you so much for sharing. And to the audience, you know, I did that sort of quickly, a lot quicker than I would generally do so, if we weren't under a time crunch. But that is the experience that I would like for you guys to have with each other when you guys are sharing your story, when you're understanding the story. That was me paraphrasing, because Roxana and I had already done this, so I'm familiar with a little bit of her story. And to so the entire time I'm just sitting here taking notes, and I put together this format for you guys so that you guys can understand how to create a purpose statement. And so what I'm starting to do is I'm understanding a lot of her superpowers, which is really what the contribution is about. So what I'm hearing from her, is a lot of understanding culture, to really be of service. Um, and I think something that's important there, and friendship. Her friendship with Alex is a great example of that. Her friendship with our community and our tribe, and us starting to understand each other and to be able to support each other, was really, really powerful. There's this theme of connecting that I'm hearing with her, connecting design and development between Webflow, and based on her experiences and her challenges, connecting creative to really innovative ideas is another theme that I'm seeing here. um, the bridge, right? Like the concept of her being in this bridge, and crossing this platform, and understanding that, like, she's speaking German, but she's growing up in Argentina. Like, all of these things are like all themes that are really starting to come together and starting to build this narrative for her, that I can start to see. And so when I think about that, and I add these here, and I'm just started filling them in. And really, there's two categories that I see. There's her contribution, and then there's her vision, right? So the contribution is the things and actions and experiences and adventures that she's gone on, and what kind of skills and things of that nature have come out of it. But then there's also the impact, and the impact that I hear with her, with like Alex, for example, is she's building a website is very much like building a bridge to connect these different cultures, to connect him with his audience, so that they can have a greater understanding of himself, so that he can better build his community, so he can better have a relationship with his community. Um, the her building with hand, like, she shared the manner in which she does a lot of her UX and UI design, which is incredible and it's fantastic. And she like jumped into Figma or Sketch right away. She actually does it with paper, and sits there on a table and kind of crafts the different spaces and containers that sit on a website. And then she uses that, and that tactile feel, as a way to really start her design process. you know and so for me, I'm starting to see that her contribution, her superpower is to bridge spaces, is to build these creative bridges, so that we can have this future of connected community, so that this future of connected community can be of multiple different cultures, so that it can be inclusive, so that it can be driven by friendship, right? So it can be driven by this journey to understand, these deeper explorations of design at a deeper level. Um, right now, Roxana, does that sound correct? Does that sound like it's in the right space?
Yes, absolutely. And maybe even like answering to Jose's question that before, that if I have the opportunity to help you guys to grow this thing, for me, I am blessed. So
This really answers my question. Like, if I knew this out in front, I wouldn't have to ask her, like, what do we want to get out of the collaboration? This morning, we were having a call with another brother from who's been here in the community. And they have an opportunity that they're working on, and we just listened and we hung out and we shared And you know, like the connection being there and the way that we're relating in itself just kind of already opened the path for being able to do the collaboration. And what I want to emphasize there is that what Roxana has been looking for in general has been authenticity and relating, right, with all the things, connection, the friends that she couldn't, and that a lot of it is cultural. There are people that you won't connect with, and that's okay. I used to judge myself for not being, you know, able to connect with certain amount of people in my culture, especially, you know, in business, and especially in some of the ways businesses in the 21st century run. And you know what? I don't judge myself anymore. And the people that I connect with, the way that I learned that the universe kept on showing me, it's like, oh, that was, I didn't connect with that person. And then I always stepped back and said, look in front of you, look in front of you, look in front of you. Who's in front of you? And then the people that were closest to me were always like, I'm always like, oh, there you go. So that's beautiful. I have a question, Keone, for other people that might be observing you. Are you looking at your notes that you took, or are you able to synthesize from listening to her and writing down those notes and spit that back out? And clients, of course, are like, oh my God, yeah, that's us. But describe your process a little bit. Me and you do it really well when we synthesize and flow, but not everybody can do it.
Right. So this is why I recommended that you take notes. So I have a series of notes. So I have Post-it notes that I'm actually writing, but I'm not referencing my notes right now. What I'm doing is I'm just doing this live. I'm just pulling it from what I'm feeling and my intuition and my gut and my experiences and translating. But that's because I've had this skill of translating. I've been translating, you know, most of my life. And this also comes from, you know, Roxana and I, you know, we've had a couple weeks to kind of go through this story. So I'm familiar with her story. It's going to be very different for some of you that are practicing, you know, the skill of translation, and you guys are still very early in that skill. This take a little bit of time. You don't have to rush through it. Generally what I do is I sit here and I put this together, and really what I like to do is I like to connect or create an anchor in the moment, so that whoever I'm facilitating can be like, yes, I like that. But what I always do is I'll go back, I'll look at a recording, and I'll reference my notes. Through that process of going through it again, I'll be like, I captured something that was really poignant, really powerful. Let me substitute and reiterate this. You know, what's key is, and, you know, I mentioned this earlier, you know, there's this process of translating what we heard. You know, me paraphrasing was really me mining for the themes and the ideas and the concepts and the feelings. I really wanted to understand that. Then what I did is I paraphrased it to her. So I was like, this is what I'm hearing. Like, are these the diamonds, you know, so to speak? Wonderful. Yeah. I took those things and then I put them together into the statement, right? That little document that you have there. I just populated the ideas and the themes, and then it's all about transformation, right? You rewrite the statement, you fulfill the worlds, you keep massaging it until it feels right. Then, you know, I confirmed it with her, and I asked her, you know, like, does this feel good? Does this feel like it fits? Does this feel like this is really what we're discussing here on a deeper level? And then, of course, you know, the next step is for her to share her together.
Are we going to put a purpose statement together, or can we go as 12:18? I wanted us to go into breakout rooms for the small assignment that we're going to do.
Yes.
But tell us how we're doing, Keone.
Yeah. So I put together the purpose statement right here, right in front of you. And it's really light, and her purpose is to bridge cultures and communities so that they can explore creative, and I'm going to change this and I'm going to say friendship together.
Explore creativity and friendship together.
Yeah.
Culture is the glue that makes people, like, you know, relate to each other. Food is really a powerful one for that. But also, I think in design, tattoos, you can just tell each other our stories. We were doing that around the table the other day at a pirate port that we were at here in LA. That's beautiful. So let me read it back. Bridge cultures and communities so that we can explore creativity and friendship together. Oh my God, that feels so good. So basically bringing the cultures together, and it could be between technology and design. It could be between, you know, business and design. It could be between Germany and Spain, like the same way her relationship with her husband. It could be between, you know, different polarities. You know, it's really, we're always remixing and have the opportunity to do so. So that's pretty amazing. So basically the contribution and the impact, You want to reference any sources for this structure?
Yes. So Simon Sinek uses a very similar format in his Finding Why. It's a little bit different. Our process is definitely different, but a lot of inspiration from it. And you know, and we're still massaging this process, guys. You know, and so like I said, you know, this is a live experiment, but the effects are, you know, indisputable. And you know, really, what I'd like to do is ask Roxana for the confirmation. How does this purpose statement feel for you?
Yes, it feels good, and to be honest, I wrote about the why like 2 weeks ago. In a quick moment. I thought I should drop in a note for what I had in my mind, and I put down to spread creativity so that no creatives feel empowered, and so that we design together, creatives and no creatives, a better world. So that was something.
You wrote it already. You had already channeled it before even Keone figured it out. So, okay. So that art form, which looks like magic, is available and accessible through presence and through allowing and the confidence to really be able to like just put it forward from what you heard and what you listened. We witnessed Mauro, who left earlier, do this, you know, for Corvus. And, you know, we had a really beautiful conversation this weekend, you know, where he finally got to that point where he's like, oh my God, you know, channeling the spirit of his ancestors, Keone and Cristo and Jose Caballer and like all the people that came before him. So it's something that is really powerful. So thank you, appreciate that. So do we want to do the, I would like to do a 5-minute breakout. Yeah, so here's the assignment. The assignment is whoever the algorithm puts you with, you need to open your calendars and your schedules, and you need to book a session to do the work of identifying themes in their story, no matter where their story is at. So hopefully they have it documented. Hopefully they have been following. If they haven't been, just figure out whether you want to redo it or whether you're just going to like connect and get to know each other. But here's what we're going to come back to. When we come back, and you know, that's the homework, to do that with someone before next week's session. And if you can't, that's okay. Homework is optional. There is no requirement here. It's up to you if you want to connect with that person. You're going to have to awkwardly tell them that you don't want to connect with them when you get matched with them. But the goal is to simply listen and understand. If you can understand the other person's purpose, even without, and their themes, even without like, you know, going through this whole process, just practicing this framework, not about being right, doing it right. There is no doing it right. Connect with them, get to know their story, and see if you hear any themes. And then we'll give the rest of the homework or any other assignment components in the Facebook group if you're there, or we'll tweet it, or, you know, we'll communicate in Instagram somewhere what to do next for next week. All right, Zach, cool. Is everybody cool with that? We're gonna portal jump. You're gonna get to spend 5 minutes.
Can I say something? Can I say something really quickly?
Yes.
Yesterday we had a call with Arsenic. It was amazing. I didn't even get to really follow maybe the 12 steps. We were just having a conversation. We share each other's stories, and I feel so related to him. And I don't even know him like very well, but just in a call. So this framework is amazing, just to meet people and to relate. And yeah, and we will have a second call, I'm sure, in some other week. So just that.
No, right. And that's powerful. And 30 seconds, guys, we're going to make the jump. So Jose, you can actually start it. But the point that is really, really important that Roxana just shared is you don't have to have your full story to be able to understand this. Have the conversation, start there. The process will happen. It's cyclical. You have to continue to do this process over and over again. The origin story is like It's like, it's like when Mario, snuck up to the top level and he got to jump, and jump the 4, 5, 6 levels ahead. It's like that. It's like being able to supercharge your understanding of your journey. But even if you don't know your journey completely, just start with the conversation.
Beautiful. And when you jump, some of you might be in a room with 3 people, some of you with 2. You'll know who you are. Here we go. And you can accept or not accept the jump. I am not jumping, so you might actually, or I'll jump in if there's somebody with one person in a room. Ready? Here we go. Ready to jump. 3, 2, 1. All right. Go ahead and jump. All right. Let me know if you guys see it. You've been invited to join.
Hi, Jose. Quick note. For the YouTube replay, just be aware of the music. Otherwise, it's gonna, like, all this bit is gonna be.
Natasha, are you not jumping, or you want to stay here with Marcio and I? Okay.
No.
Marcio, you're with Natasha, Mauricio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
I'm gonna jump in with. You want to jump in with Marcio or Keone, or do you want to stay here and entertain? I guess the live stream.
I'll stay here and entertain the live stream.
All right, I'll jump in with Marcio and get to know him a little bit. Let me see, how do I actually do that? Joe Pettit. Oh, I can say join room. Here we go. So yeah, just talk to the audience. There's people. This is live streaming on Facebook, so
yeah.
Say hello to everyone. What music are we listening to? Whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm. You got it. There we go. So we're still live streaming. So for those of you that are on Facebook that are hanging with us, I am vibing out right now to a producer named Urban Waves, and this is Jabu from the album Porcelada. I'm really excited to just be here with you guys every Friday. This is sort of like my center for the week. We get caught up so much in the day-to-day building of other people's brands or the work and the struggle to maintain our materiality. And a lot of times we don't take time to really look at ourselves, invest in ourselves, to kind of center ourselves in the work and the life that we're living. And this has really been about that. I believe that the future of creatives is super bright. I think that we're entering this new renaissance of creative empowerment, and I think that it's going to be incredibly important for us to develop the human skills of leadership through design. So these exercises that we're practicing and these skills that we're talking about, and I'll kind of recap them, are really about that, facilitation skills, that we're talking about today, that the role of active listening and the ability to really translate in real time. That's a skill, and that's super important. It's foundational for you to build resonance in relationships. It's also foundational in you as a creative, really being able to manifest really powerful creative with high fidelity. As creatives, we're all familiar with having really whack creative briefs or dealing with clients that struggle to be able to articulate their vision. And as creatives, so much of the work that we do requires for us to not only build and manifest really unique creative through all kinds of media formats, but it also requires for us to be able to manage that input, not just the output. So these are the elements that I think and these are the fundamental elements of the human skills that we have to learn for us to become better at being able to manifest powerful creative. And so just recapping that, we talked about the 3 levels of listening. You know, there's the literal understanding in the words, and it's really about definitions. And it's like, okay, you said blue, I heard blue, right? They're seeing the situation, which is circumstantial understanding, where they're like, they say blue, and you're like, blue? Like, are you sad that you're blue, right? Like, is the situation, you know, really overcast and like very morose? You know, it's really being able to see the situation, the understanding. Then it's what we call the first level of really deep listening, which is active listening. And then you have 3. This is like the POV, you know, this is their point of view, and it's the empathetic understanding. So when they say blue, maybe they're not really referring to blue, but they're referring to themselves as themselves being pretty sad or morose, you know, struggling, maybe depressed. And they see blue and all the things that are blue because they are blue. It's an empathetic understanding. It's being really able to dive in and understand where you are and where, you know, the person that you're listening is, and being able to understand that you guys are in a place, excuse me, and you guys are all over different worlds, and you're trying to understand that concept of themselves. You know, I'm just gonna replay this for you guys real quick, and this is the process of active listening, with paying attention and paying with your curiosity. Then we have listening with your body. So this is about all of the things that you are physically doing to really show that you're interested in someone. You know, it's the lean in, it's the eye contact, it's the nodding, right? It could be, if you have a really great camera setup, it's looking directly into the camera and saying, hey, I get you, I got you, I understand you. Next, we talk about clarifying understanding. So clarifying understanding is about asking the open questions and paraphrasing. Then the 4th is really being able to constantly address your biases. We are all biased. It is our manner of enculturation. And then lastly, it is to respond. You never allow for someone to just talk and you sit there silently. It's the it's the go-ons, and it's the deep pauses. So for those of you that were in the live stream, I'm going to shift focus and we're going to bring this back to our community. But thank you for rocking with us. So was everyone able to connect for a few minutes and to set up a time to get through their stories?
Yeah, I was able to connect with Marcio, which is amazing. There's a bunch of people here that would be awesome to connect. Michael Stancato, be awesome to connect. With Marcio, he asked the question, you know, how do we translate the inner journey to projects and to getting work out of it? It's a really good question. I'll say that when you're making the transition early on, you know, whoever you get involved with and whatever you do and whatever you pursue ultimately opens kind of like the path for kind of whatever it is that you want to build. In my experience, it's always been me sharing the ideas in the either volunteering or, you know, in a social group of some sorts, or I happen to be very outgoing. So if you're introverted, the question is, you know, how do you do it? But participating in some sort of community and sharing with your community is always powerful. I love seeing how people get engaged with the entrepreneurs in their community, both on the transformational inner journey and on the outer journey. Papa is a good example of that in Panama, or in Paradise, which I like to call it. But more will unveil itself from that as we do it. So, Keone, we're at 12:34 and we got to wrap up. What do we do next?
So I'm going to answer Marcio's question, and then we're going to dive into the upload. So Marcio, you talked about how does this personal journey really affect your work in your life? Really, it starts with you having confidence in that purpose and then being able to communicate it. In that process of communicating your purpose, it will start to bring into alignment your activities. It will start to bring into alignment the people that you have conversations with, and other people will start to take notice. right? It's a signal. Your purpose is a signal to the world. My purpose was a signal. Jose's purpose was a signal. I resonated with Jose. I reached out to Jose and I did my thing. Here's what was interesting. I had my own purpose and I'm signaling my own purpose. And Jose's like, what you got going on over there? And that built this alignment, right? With Roxanne, and she shares in this, you know, her purpose to understand at a deeper level and her exploration of that opened her to a community of friends and collaborators, right? It allowed for her to sort of build this network where work started to come in. And it wasn't just work, it was co-creation, right? You having your purpose is your signal, right? And your signal will resonate with other individuals and they will help you build a network. And within that network, they will identify you for value, for your purpose, as opposed for you to do this thing. And when your purpose is driving your value and someone recognizes that, then the interactions and the opportunities for work changes. You're not dealing with someone where you need to negotiate because someone doesn't respect your value. The relationship started because they respected your value. So I will leave that note there and let's dive into the upload. And the upload today, which is about, you know, really simply, what was one valuable thing that you got from today's broadcast? So, you know, this is a conversation for the community. And so I'm going to open the floor, and if anyone would like to, you know, jump on the stage. I'm really excited to hear your guys' thoughts after today's session.
I'm jumping.
What's up, Cassie?
This is Marlene. I just had to say, yes, yeah. Jumping.
There
I just had to say this was the big question in my mind as I was working on my story. It was like, I don't understand how this all comes together. So thank you. This is great.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And thank you for rocking with us, Marlene. And thank you so much for your patience. And I would like to add one note, Marlene. When I was crafting today's session yesterday, you were someone that I had in mind. So the fact that we were able to make the connection is beautiful, and it really makes my heart smile.
Oh, thank you. Boy, you must have known that Patricia and I were talking about you.
Well, little birdie spoke into my ear, so.
Thank you, Keone. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come on stage? Well, I'll read some comments from the community, and let's see.
Well, and we can call in a few people too, Keone. Pape, how was your experience with, you know, connecting with Dexter, since you guys both, and Dexter too, like, you know, share.
I think Bjorn wanted to say something, but he went back. I'm not sure if I'm putting you on the spot, but I think Bjorn wanted to say something, so let him go first.
Go ahead, Bjorn. Keep it clean.
Yeah, I was just surprised how you know, this all relates to the Pavlov hierarchy of needs. You know, how we all see each other and ourselves, and humans in general want the same things and they need the same things, and seeing how that translates into a professional environment around the design industry is really interesting, because I saw a lot of the same things in Roxana's statement that I have in my statement. So I think it's just really mind-blowing. So that's all.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Arson and Jay, you know, just I'd love for you to come on stage, you know, and elaborate on your comment. You said, you know, the thing that you thought was really powerful about this exercise is that you start to value your journey.
Yeah, I think that Casey mentioned that last time, but I was unpacking my story first with Pape and then with Roxana, and now I started with Patricia. And I feel like it's funny first how basically how different people unpack it from different way, and then basically I learned so much about myself and I connected so much things. So it's like Roxana had one sensibility that basically brings some things for me, and then Pape brings some other things, and it is really powerful to connect it. But yeah, that's something that basically I'm thinking the whole week after the last Friday, is basically how much, you know, you start to dive deep more into being yourself, and yeah, starting to value yourself, and basically starting to see that in a sense, you know, when Jose was saying, when we were saying that everybody's hero, I think this is like, that was you know that, but this is like you see, this is like exercise to prove it. Mm-hmm. to really to prove it to you, and in a sense it's like, if you don't believe it, you now believe.
Yeah, you know, I love that. But go ahead, please. Oh, was I cutting somebody off? I thought I was cutting somebody off.
Pape's next.
Yeah, Pape, hop on.
Yeah, I've been discovering that part of my journey and my purpose is to, and as I've always said, but my purpose is to tell my story, and in the process help others to tell theirs. And lately I've been opening up, not only here but around my community, to just open my studio to listen to people. And something that I've been noticing as a pattern in all of us is how everyone is afraid of being themselves and feeling that they're not enough. And I think it's if I have to blame someone, it's marketing and all these publicity stunts that have been trying to answer the most essential question of human beings, that is who I am and what I want. So I believe like this that we're doing is healing, and going back to the point with Dexter, it was amazing to listen to him, like even for 5 minutes. The story is so deep, and the way he speaks in the language he uses is really eloquent, and I look forward to connect with him, because I see a lot of like, it's really profound, and I saw myself really reflected on the way he was speaking about how he was always an artist, and it was always his mission to do design, but he kind of drifted away for other reasons. And I think we all relate with the story, because I mean, they've been trying to answer the essential questions for us. And I think going back to our essence, going back inside, going back to the first level of listening, that as Joe was saying, that is listening to your thoughts, your words, and your feelings. I feel like that is the first step, and it's the first step to opening up the doors to listening, like in a deeper level, and reading between lines. But it begins like here. Always put the mirror, like your hands like this, and I mean this is amazing. This is healing. We're healing, and the system is healing. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Pape. Yes, Pape, as always. Thank you, Pape. As always, it's really amazing to listen to your reflection. It's very beautiful. Yeah. Anybody else? We can go to cookies.
Yeah, let's do that. So, guys, you know, a lot of the books that I'm referencing in this chat is right here. Start with Why, Simon Sinek, The Hero's Journey. Joseph Campbell.
Share your screen, by the way. You're not sharing your screen.
Let's do that. Yeah. There we are. So here are the books that I'm referencing in this.
Dexter wants to go too after you're done.
Oh, okay, definitely. Just rush through this. This session, as always, is brought to you by Cora's Magic. You know, we invite you to join us in the communities wherever we're at, you know, which is on Twitter, which is on Instagram, which is
please share on Instagram. Please. It's so amazing.
Yeah. And so we're just really grateful to have you guys here. I will be posting the reference documents for the worksheets in the core Facebook group. So keep an eye out for that. As always, you know, we ask that you like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you more of this powerful content. So let's dive into the music and the no cookies. So open conversation, guys. You know, where are you guys at? How are you guys feeling? How was today's session for you? And let's start with Dexter.
For me, I just kind of wanted to highlight on, you know, speaking to Pape. Usually in my life, I guess I come off as like a sage-like person, and people often come to me, you know, for advice or things like that. So I'm usually the one doing the listening. So it was, you know, a different pace to actually, you know, do more of the speaking. And, you know, and I was saying with him, I like to set, and like throughout my life, I've set intentions, you know, with, you know, the type of person that I want to be. And one of my intentions that I've set at some point in my life is that whatever interaction that I have when I come into a space where I share energy with another human being, I think, what value can I add to their life? After they leave this interaction, what will they say that they got from me? And so I'm hoping that, you know, throughout this journey of sharing my story, that I add value to other people who listen to it or who come across it. And I know it's going to be profound in some way because, you know, when you first started saying about, you know, the breakout rooms, it made me uncomfortable. And I kind of used that feeling of uncomfortability as kind of like the litmus test of like, okay, this is about to be lit because it's making me uncomfortable for some reason. So yeah, I'm just, you know, kind of excited to, you know, see, you know, what value and, you know, what connections I can help, you know, even if it's just one person, that, you know, I can just add value to their lives and something that they can take, you know, and add value to other people's lives.
Very powerful insights, Dexter. You know, Jose shared that with me. And Joe, come on board. Let's have you dive in.
Yeah, well, I just love what the guys just shared. Dexter and Pape. Pape, that resonates a lot with me. What you mentioned, because for like I know for me, it's like my journey, being able to just be myself and just be connected to myself and speak from myself is so hard, right? And it's so hard, and like it's sometimes it's easier even to listen to others, and like Dexter was mentioning, and like listening, but it's so hard to just be yourself and listen to others from a place of grounding and a place of being aligned with ourselves instead of trying to be and like fit in. Like one, I'm sure everybody's heard of her, but like Brene Brown talks about when we try to fit in, we can't belong, because when we're trying to fit in, we're not coming from true self. We're not coming from a place of authenticity. And by definition, then you can't belong because it's not you showing up. And I think we all just want to belong. It's like bringing back to Bjorn, you mentioned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. One of the core needs is belonging. And to belong, we first need to lead from our true selves to what somebody pointed here is to truly, what Pape mentioned, I think it was Pape that talked about we just want all to be seen, and we want to see ourselves, and we want to be ourselves and accept ourselves. And if we can do that in these spaces, here, kudos to the host, for creating the space where people feel safe enough to be themselves. And then as a repercussion, this connection and belonging ensues. So I just want to speak to that, to the power of that, and also to what Poppy said about how much we really need that, and is how much is healing to come from our true self, and how much that opens a door for true connection and belonging. So
Yeah. Thank you for that, Joe. Really powerful insight. But the floor is open, y'all. Anyone else want to
also, like it's so magical to listen like to the conversation, because the resonance and I think we should always be aware not to be in a place where everyone is in agreement, but I feel like here is honest, and we do really resonate with what everyone is saying, and it's just like transforming the message as we speak, and everyone is adding a little bit more to the same sentence, to the same purpose. And I think that's magical as well. And even to the topic of transformation and how we're getting to this conclusion and reflection of being yourself is the true ownership, and the true revolution is to change yourself, to change the world. And yesterday, with a conversation with a friend, we came up with this analogy that by allowing yourself to be who you really are, you start to weave the mandala of the universe. Like, we're all connected, and we all have this small responsibility in this huge pattern that is society, culture, the universe, whatever plane you want to take it. And the system is how I see it now. And when I see the purpose, for me, more than just being here is also how can I expand this to the people next to me, you know? Because we're all here for whatever reason, but we also have a world outside this meeting, you know? And what my mission, and life is a trip, is every time you go on a trip, try to bring something back, and I always try to, what I get here, I try to get out there. And my mission now is with my social media. I'm starting to build it and translate this message into Spanish, because my mission is with Latin America. That's where I want to speak. That's why my social media, most of it is in Spanish, and it's on purpose. I will speak in Spanish, and that's my mission.
Look, man, that's who you truly are. That's your culture, man, and that's how you are able to be the best you that you can be. I love that, man, and I'm riding with you, man. I'm working on my Spanish.
All right, let's land the plane.
Alrighty, y'all. So, as always, we want to thank you guys for rocking with us. We ran a little bit over today, but we're getting tighter. Today's session was tighter, and I'm here for you guys. I'm here for the community, and really the impact that you guys have, and the meaning that you guys can find, and the applications that you guys can find into your real lives is really why we have this session here every Friday. So much love to everyone. Much love for you guys, to be here and to make the time to join us and to engage with the communities and to really do the self-work. This is self-development, and it's not easy. But I thank each and every one of you, and I'm proud of all of you. So as always, you guys are loved. You guys are powerful. You guys can create anything. Thank you for rocking with us. Have an awesome Friday and a powerful weekend. Peace, y'all.
Ooh, yeah, weekend time. Oh my God, is it Friday yet? Oh yeah, it is Friday. Good to see you, Marlene. Good to see you, Arsenio J. Michael Sancato, good to see you. Always love listening. Mauricio, beautiful to see you. Colleen Barrett.
Patricia, you are incredible. Thank you for rocking this.
Thank you, Roxana, for sharing.
Yes. Colleen, what's up?
Cassie.
Dexter,
Cassie.
Congrats on that gig, man. Yeah.
Celebrate. Lots of celebration. And Patricia, you too. I mean, everyone celebrate the community coming together. And you'll be surprised how much the work that we do connects us, and how much projects, opportunities, ideas all kind of revolve around it. As long as we're in a container of authenticity, here's who I am, here's where I'm heading. Hello, fellow traveler. This is my destination, and our destination is our purpose. So when you read that in Hello, fellow traveler, where am I heading? One of the questions was, how do we set our, direction? We can use core, but that's our kind of like image. That's our identity. That's our personality. How about what's inside and the truth at the deepest level? It's usually what is in our story. It's hard for us to come up with the purpose randomly, but you can actually see the pattern if you look at your behavior throughout time. So pattern recognition in the story backwards allows you then to create pattern recognition forward and allows you to design a customer journey. You get it? By recognizing your patterns in your story, then you can actually do powerful patterns forward. That's what UX designers do. And that's what you do when you develop a product and when you develop a business. It's basically putting authentic patterns forward. Little secret there of why we're doing it. And why the diagram that we use in the system is pointing up towards the consumer market or towards the customer and the co-creators, and pointing down towards ourselves, right? Towards the employees, etc. If you can do both and root them in each other, then you can really create really unified cultures that are no longer like the 20th century is, which is about bolting on features and ideas, but about really making a substantial change in the direction of the spaceship we call Earth.
Yeah.
All right, that's the transmission. Beautiful. One frequency. Love you guys all. Prepare to cut the connection.